Good afternoon.
Good morning!
Morning!
Good morning.
Oh, and in case I don't see you, good afternoon, good evening, and good night.
It is Sunday, and I got some editing to do today, but I wanted to start the day off with something a little more physical and sitting down and editing again. Made my coffee, had my 2 coffees.
Boy, Ken sure loves to make sure that he gets all the good stuff in on the daily. He loves to get way more sodium in than he needs. And now he definitely has to get that caffeine boost every single day. He says that he only has 2 cups of coffee, but remember, he uses oversized mugs. So 2 cups could be the equivalent of 3 to 4 to 5 or maybe even 6.
Brushed my teeth and kind of sat down, ready to start editing.
You hear that, everybody? Isn't that so exciting? He got up, he made his coffee, he's drank his coffee. Boy, the only thing that he seems to left out after brushing his teeth is his bowel movement. Provided he had one this morning. He used to talk about how constipated he was back in January. Geez, soon we're going to have the shit report, where he tells us the color or hue, and the shape, and the consistency. Oh, boy!
But then I ended up going through a ton of comments on yesterday's launch video.
Oh, yes, those comments, where like 75% of them were saying just how rude and ignorant you were towards those Swiss Chalet employees, especially that young lady who had just started working there, and you had to make damn sure to put on screen that she was new and didn't know what the hell she was doing. She didn't know what button to push. But, as always, your ignorant jackass self doesn't take the time to think that saying something like that could be construed as essentially saying the person that you were dealing with is too stupid to know what the hell they're doing. So because your ego is so fragile, and because you are incapable of taking any criticism, you have to be compelled to make these stupid, asinine videos where instead of explaining, you come off as saying you did nothing wrong. Add in a clickbaity title the way that you do, and voila! Your few little minions that still kiss your ass come running to your defense, and then you immediately feel, yep, I'm in the right, everybody said so, and then you make a follow-up video thanking them, which only goes on to perpetuate your ill-mannered actions even further down the road.
And how many people misread how I was interacting with the employees at Swiss Chalet. If you were to talk to them, I'm sure they would have said, there's no problem.
Yes, Ken. People totally misread how you were acting towards those employees. Maybe if it was 1 person or 2 people, you could use that argument. But when it's 10 to 20 or more people saying the exact same thing, you have to wonder if that argument can stand up. Then you have to put words into the mouths of other people by saying, if you ask them, they'll say nothing was wrong, that it was perfectly fine.
I just wanted a whole chicken. I didn't want to waste any other food that they were going to give me, so I just wanted to make sure whether they deducted money off my total or not. I didn't care. I just wanted a whole chicken. I just wanted to make sure it was a whole chicken, as opposed to having 4 parts from 4 different chickens. Is it a whole chicken?
Bullshit. Yeah, that's what I have to say to the first part of that argument that you're making. We've seen you in the past complain when you get what you feel is 1 less pickle than you're entitled to on an overpriced fast food burger. So I'm damn well sure that if they would have charged you $40 plus tax for the family pack, and all you got was the chicken because you didn't want everything else that came with it, you would have bitched about that back in the vehicle. So don't even fucking try to come off as some goddamn saint in this scenario. And yes, if you would have gotten 4 pieces of chicken and it would have been from 4 different birds, it still would have been a whole fucking chicken. What is a chicken? 2 legs, 2 breasts with the wings attached. Voila! That's a whole chicken. Though in your warped mind, you think that chickens have 4 legs because you call a drumstick a leg. And that's not what a leg of chicken is. A leg of chicken is the drum and thigh attached. So go on and keep crying me a motherfucking river.
I just wanted to eat a whole chicken, and the fact that on their website it shows a whole chicken. Try to be as political as possible in the comment section.
Wrong. Political, wrong. This is not a political correctness issue, Ken. What you mean to say is you tried to be as polite as possible. But nope, you couldn't even do that. Because in a couple of instances, passive-aggressive Ken reared his ugly fucking head, and you did the bullshit where you didn't like what the person said, and then in a follow-up rebuttal to that person, you had to do, "Have a nice day," with the smiley face emoji in text form because you're too lazy to use the actual emojis, or you simply don't know how to fucking use them. But here, let's take a quick scroll through all your comments on that video. Granted, I took this a couple days back already, so some new comments going against you have popped up, and the likes on those particular comments have gone up significantly. I think one of the negative comments against you now has close to 200 thumbs up. So, as you can see, you had over 250 comments on the video. And as I scroll through them, you responded to a handful of the negative ones, and usually you ended up being a jackass to the person by saying, "I didn't do anything wrong, and I'm sorry that you felt that way." So you're putting all the blame on the person that responded to you because you are saying that they're wrong and only you're right. Like, that's ridiculous. Or someone says that, you ordered something that isn't even on the menu, and then you chime in with, "It is on the menu. I just didn't want the extra stuff that came with it because I would have to throw away, and she didn't know how to minus the extras. Not a big problem at all, and I was extremely patient with them." Oh boy, Ken. How nice of you. And then you have to thank the person that came to your defense. Yep, that's typical Ken, all right. Because he just cannot be nice. If someone kissed his ass and said that what he did was fine, it was "thank you, thank you." Or you had someone else chime in, "It's perfectly fine how they gave it to you. Seems like it's a good thing it's potentially the last stealth camping. After the way you spoke to the employees and made that order that isn't the menu complicated." Sorry, I read it verbatim, so there was a couple grammatical errors there. But then Ken had to be a smug jackass and chime in, "Sorry you feel that way. Yeah, not sure if you noticed, but I just wanted to make sure it was a whole chicken and not just 4 parts from 4 different chickens. If I had done that, people would be complaining that I didn't actually eat a whole chicken. Make sense? Yes, Ken. That makes total sense. Because your audience are so stupid that they wouldn't realize that 4 quarter chickens would make less than 1 chicken, right? No, that's not how it works. Yep. Saying that your audience is stupid, so that's why you have to do stupid things like this. Good job, Ken.
Letting people understand. But again, if you're to talk to those people, they had smiles on the whole time, super friendly, interacting.
Do you ever think that employees have to have smiles on their face all the time when dealing with ignorant customers like yourself that cause issues? Because they're trained with the mentality that the customers are always right, even though that's not really always the case. Their jobs depend on it. If you were to turn around and go and complain to Swiss Chalet that they were being ignorant towards you, or that they were showing any sort of emotion that they were annoyed with you, they'd be the ones that would be in trouble, and they may lose their job and livelihood over the fact that you couldn't get a whole chicken. Like, I would not put it past you to go and file a complaint against somebody because you felt that you were not helped.
And I personally don't think there was any problems, except the fact that I was asking for something that wasn't like a full-on boop, which it should.
And there we go. Ken just completely killed his own argument by saying there was nothing wrong, people, except for this one issue, people. Like, do you not know how stupid that makes you look? You just said there was no problem except for this one issue, so there was a problem. And then you go on to say that you think that it should be a button that you can just push, boop, and voila, Ken Domick gets a whole chicken. So you hear that, Swiss Chalet? Make a button for Ken Domick that just gives a whole chicken. That's how you'll shut him up from now on. Burp! Whole chicken for Ken Domick.
Be like if you wanted fries, there's a single button for fries. If you want a potato, I bet there's a single button for a baked potato.
Well, gee, Ken, do you think that maybe items that are actually ordered a la carte at times, like a side dish of fries or a side dish of a baked potato, might have a solitary button for it? That's just common fucking sense now, isn't it? Something that you seem to lack 99% of the time. Conveniently, when it would hurt your argument, that's when it's completely missing.
Why there's not a single button for a chicken? I guess because people rarely or never ever go into a Swiss Chalet and order a whole chicken and leave like from Costco.
I think she's got it. I think she's got it. By George, she's got it. By George, she's got it.
But again, I wish I had weighed it because I'm pretty sure it was well over 2 pounds because I was very, very stuffed.
I only eat until I'm satiated, people. But yet, he always claims that he eats until he's stuffed now. Because Ken is a fat ass glutton. Plain and simple. Hey Ken, why don't you go grab that shirt from Japan that you couldn't wear for how many years? And then you finally put it on even though it was still too tight. I bet ya it ain't getting over those moobs of yours. Or that beer belly gut you got protruding out again.
Another thing too, a lot of people aren't understanding is I have stealth camping and then I have 24-hour stealth camping. In the regular stealth camping, I usually get to a location in the late afternoon, do a dinner, wake up in the morning, do a coffee or whatever, and that's the video. As a stealth camp, I stealth camped at, like I did at the liquor store, at the, who else did I do it? The police station, I did a stealth camp. I didn't eat multiple meals like I do on the 24-hour stealth camps. So what I'm trying to say is there is a difference between, maybe it's confusing people, maybe I shouldn't, I don't know.
Maybe if you actually had a brain, you would realize that, yeah, that could be confusing. Stealth camp, 24-hour stealth camp. How do I rectify this? Oh, right. I'm just going to leave it as is instead of coming up with a different name. Yeah, so we have 24-hour stealth camp, and I don't know, you could call it anything else. I'm not going to do the job for you, so I'm not going to even suggest anything because you're not really creative, so you can't come up with something of your own. Like, stealth camp was just what you took from somebody else.
A stealth camp is a stealth camp to me. Even Steve Wallace, you know, he gets to a location late, sets up his camp, makes a meal, gets up in the morning, gets out. That's his stealth camp.
Boy, you sure do love to name drop Steve Wallace all the time now. Yep, the guy that you took this whole stealth camping idea off of. You realized that he was having so much good traction with his videos that you decided that it was probably a wise idea for your channel, even though it hasn't panned out nearly the same way that it has for Steve. In 2021, during the pandemic, Steve Wallace responded to my email when Ken was first going around saying that he was going to collaborate with Steve, and Steve said that he had no plans to do so, that he had seen Ken's channel, knew who he was, but didn't watch any of Ken's content. I'm not going or unable to put up the email because I said that I would not do so moving forward. I don't recall if I ever did show it in a video prior to him requesting that. If I did, then I apologize to Steve back in 2021. But because I can't show it, Ken will probably say, he's just lying. There's no way Steve did that. But I'm sure that my credibility is much sounder than Ken's because I've proven myself time and time again to, that my word actually is my bond. That what I say is actually true. So I'm really not trying to drag Steve into any drama, but I'm trying to keep him out of getting himself into any sort of drama when it comes to Ken. There would be absolutely no benefit whatsoever to Steve doing any sort of collaboration with Ken Dommett, because Ken is now the small fish. He isn't really a stealth camper. He thinks he is because, he went out and bought a prop piece of shit van and pretends that he sleeps in it and eats whatever gluttonous food that he wants, and then he goes home. Whereas Steve actually does what is traditionally known as stealth camping. Like, Ken doesn't seem to understand that there is a major difference between what he does and what people like Steve Wallace do.
Same with me. Unless I put the 24 hours in the thumbnail. If you see 24 hours in the thumbnail, then you'll know I'm going to be doing at least 2 to 3 full meals from whatever restaurant or wherever I am. Whether it's a single restaurant, whether I do a plaza and there's multiple restaurants and I eat at a bunch of them over a 24-hour period. Again, I hope you guys, I hope this explains that kind of stuff.
See, I said before that I wasn't going to help Ken, but when he goes out and parks in a mini mall parking lot or outside of a restaurant or whatever, that isn't stealth camping. Really, that is more urban camping. Oh, there you go, Ken. I guess if we start seeing you calling your non-24-hour videos urban camping or something along those lines, then we know that you stole something from my video. Because urban camping is people taking a vehicle and parking it, let's say, on a side street in a neighborhood and sleeping overnight because they don't want to pay for a hotel or motel. So that is what is known as urban camping, because you're trying to fit in to an urban area, even though you're kind of being stealthy about it. Urban camping just sounds more appropriate, or at least a much more interesting title.
I'm hoping that the people that watch the big channel, the KBD Productions TV channel, also watch this channel, because I always give you guys lots of background information here.
Yep, we got plenty of background information here. How many coffees Ken's drank in a day, how much money he needs to fix something, you know, Carol's nodules on her hand getting dealt with at whatever doctor appointment that she had. Yep, that's really stimulating, really amazing background information that people coming over from KBD Productions TV absolutely need to know in order to understand what Ken Domick is all about.
I don't necessarily remember to bring that up on the other channel, so if you see people in the comments having a little bit of a misunderstanding as to what a stealth camp is and a 24-hour stealth camp, let them know. I appreciate that.
And there's Ken passing the buck, basically telling his minions to do the work for him. I'm too busy, people, to go in the comment section and help everybody understand what the difference between a stealth camp and a 24-hour stealth camp is. I'm just too goddamn busy. That's cutting into my TV watching time. Like, Jesus, people, I have shows and movies to watch. I swear, the movie The Whale has to be a biopic for Ken Domick.
Anyway, so like I said, I was going to sit down and edit, but I saw Carol outside doing a little gardening, and so I looked out to see what she was up to. Let me just open it. It was really nice earlier on, like a beautiful spring day, and then this came. So, and it's going to rain like this till tomorrow morning apparently. But as you can see, right there is chives. So I guess at one time we wanted some chives, and we grew some chives, but then they all started growing up in between all my patio stones. And so today I filled up a whole wheelbarrow full of weeds and stuff. So that's this whole area. Where's my finger? There it is. This whole area is now clean of weeds and the chives. And it's the best thing about pulling chives up is the smell. Like you're breaking the I guess husks, or I'm not sure what you call them, stems.
Husks. Yes, Ken, because chives definitely have husks. Chives are not a stem herb, eh? Yeah, no, definitely a husk, like what you would find on an ear of corn, eh? Or a kernel of corn. Oh my God, what a complete moron.
As you're breaking that, the aroma, the fragrance from the chives just fill that whole area, and it kind of makes you hungry because it smells like really, really good food.
As if you would know what really, really good food smells like. You think McDonald's is really, really, really good food, jackass. We've seen you time and time again compare a Big Mac to a fresh homemade burger. And because that fresh homemade burger might have cost you a buck or two more, you think that it is not as good as an overpriced Big Mac. Oh, what? Because the homemade burger only had one patty, but a Big Mac has two paper-thin patties. So while you're getting less meat with the Big Mac, that apparently makes for better food. Ken Domick knows what good food is, people. And it's frozen burgers from McDonald's. Or reheated slop out of a bag from some chain restaurant like Cracker Barrel or Applebee's, etc., etc.
Anyway, that's what Carol and I did this morning, but I definitely have to go back to the editing room now after I towel off, because we worked in the rain for at least a half an hour, so my back is soaked and my shorts are soaked because I was leaning over picking up patio stones.
Well, now that Ken's changed out of his wet clothing, you know, the shorts that he pissed himself in, even though he claimed that it was rainwater from when he was bending over moving patio stones about, and his yearly shower, so he's good until 2025, people. Now we get to hear him ramble on about his 4K video shooting that he does now on the channel. Oh boy, was that ever interesting.
Back in the editing room, I also wanted to get some feedback from you guys on the fact that I'm now shooting, I think, everything in 4K and editing in 4K. I wanted to know your thoughts. Have you noticed? Carol and I watched like a little bit of the video I shot at Swiss Chalet, and huge difference, I think, between past videos and now. For, I'd say, the last 2 years, maybe 3, I've been shooting everything in 1080 and then bringing it into the editing software, which is Final Cut Pro X, editing it all in 1080, exporting it to the desktop, and then bringing it back in as a 1080, putting it into a 4K timeline. It would up-res it to 4K, and then I'd export in 4K, and then I'd upload 4K to YouTube. And that's how I used to do it.
So, if you didn't understand all that from a technical standpoint, essentially what he was saying was he didn't know what the fuck he was doing, and he made so much extra work for himself because he shot video in 1080p, he worked on it in 4K because the computer would upscale it. He says upres, but upscale is the actual technical word, Ken Domick. Geez, for someone that's, you know, apparently in video production, you should fucking know that, eh? But then he would export it and import it back and forth between 1080p and 4K and then put it up. Meanwhile, his videos weren't actual real 4K, so what the hell was the point of that? If anything, it would make your video look kind of worse because it's not true 4K. So you might as well have just shot in 1080p. A lot of people still around North America have bandwidth caps. So most of them are watching stuff in 1080p still, especially YouTube, because who really needs to see Ken's liver spots in full 4K high, ultra high definition? Or all that mashed up food that you see in his mouth when he's talking away while eating himself silly in one of his shitty vehicles.
Because, again, I think a few of you guys remember when I was shooting with those little white cameras. They were 4K cameras, but you can shoot in 1080 or regular HD. But when I did one job in 4K, or one video for you guys, it took forever for the transfer from the camera or from the card to the computer. Then it took forever for the computer to, it's called transcoding. So Final Cut Pro takes the file, kind of converts it into a format that it likes to utilize to edit. And then when you export it, it kind of converts it back and puts it out there so you get the best quality. And I remember it taking me like an extra 2-3 hours of time to edit a daily vlog. And so I'm like, okay, that's it. Never doing that again. But because I have this new laptop that I've been using for a year now, with the M2 chip in it, I know there's another one out there with the M3. But I'm very satisfied with this laptop. It's been amazing. I've got, that's my iMac is over there, and I'm using my 27-inch cinema display that I've had for, I think 10 years now that I've had this cinema display. I bought it refurbished. If you want to buy Apple stuff, always go into the Apple store and then go to the refurbished section, and you can save hundreds of dollars on really good computers.
I wonder what Ken paid for that cinema display monitor that he bought like 10 years ago, he said. He probably paid way more than he needed to because it was an Apple product. Meanwhile, I have a monitor that has the same PPI, which is the pixels per inch, which is essentially the pixel density that Ken's cinema display has. And mine is also an ultra wide, and it's 34 inches. And I probably paid a fraction of what Ken did. Because we all know that Ken buys into the Apple fanboyism to try and make himself look like he's young and hip. He thinks that it's a status symbol for him when people see him carrying around an Apple laptop. Ooh, big deal. And did anyone else catch the little thing about, oh, there's a laptop with an M3 chip, but I'm still relatively happy with this laptop? Like, that's what it came off to me as. Like, just making that little hint of, oh, people, I really wish that I had the money to be able to go out and get the M3 laptop. Aww. I'm not going to be able to make videos for you without it.
I'm guessing people buy it and then return it, and then they tweak it and make sure nothing's wrong with it, and then they try to resell it. And so those are the computers I normally buy. The laptop I bought brand new because I needed it to be like a 4 terabyte hard drive. I needed the RAM to be higher than it was, and so I kind of like custom designed this computer.
No, Ken, you did not custom design that laptop. What you did was you configured it with a upgradable parts list that is, available to anybody that is looking to buy that particular laptop. So you overpaid for a larger hard drive and more RAM because you're a gullible moron. Apple charges you through the roof for those upgrades. So you just demonstrated how much of a gullible moron you are when it comes to Apple products. And you want to know what else I think is funny? You're hooking up your laptop to your cinema display that has a pixel density of 109 PPI. Meanwhile, I'm pretty sure that the 2022 MacBook Pros have a pixel density of 227 PPI. So, yeah, the resolution on the monitor panel in the laptop is actually better than what you're working on with the cinema display. The only difference is one's 27 inch and the other's whatever size it is that you have. I don't know whether you have a 13 or 15 inch or whatever the hell the MacBook Pros come in. I'm not an Apple guy.
But again, this laptop is hooked up to this monitor. That's my old iMac that I'm not sure what I'm going to do with it right now. I can't remember if Apple was going to give me a whole lot of money back for it. I don't think so, so I kind of kept it. I was going to hopefully maybe set it up as a standalone computer somewhere in the house. Not that we have any room for it.
Yep, that's because Carol and Ken are a couple of hoarding pack rats. the Shack and the Shackmobile and Rusty and probably the Atlas, and if they still have the Tiguan, those were always full of useless crap. And hell, we saw in Rusty that the front seat is full of garbage because Ken is too fucking lazy to remove that. And I guess maybe the odd time that he does it at a public place because God forbid he put it in his own trash.
But that way, if you needed to do something quickly, you know, the funny thing is we could just do it on the laptop or on your phone. So having multiple computers isn't really necessary anymore. Anyway, guys, thanks for watching today. Hope you guys understood my explanation earlier.
Oh, don't worry. We understood your explanation from earlier. You spent a whole 60 seconds telling us how you didn't do anything wrong in your view, and completely dismissing the view and opinion of many other people. As I said, if it was one person or two people, then yeah, that could be an outlier and perhaps not accurate of the situation. But the fact that it was a dozen or more people just shows that there clearly was an issue, and you're just too, smug, too arrogant, and too unwilling to accept responsibility for actually doing something wrong. You admitted to there being a problem, so I don't get how you are able to continue on in 2 videos saying that, nope, you did nothing wrong when you really did.
I know it's raining now here. I'm not sure if it's raining where you are, but if it is, yeah, the sun will come out tomorrow, won't it? All right, talk to you guys later. Bye.
The sun will come out tomorrow, so you gotta hang on till tomorrow. The sun will come out tomorrow. There'll be sun.
The sun will come out tomorrow, so you gotta hang on till tomorrow.
Boy, what an arrogant prick. Like, that's the best way to sum Ken Domick up. Oh, and look at that. The counter, or the and counter, got to 75. That's 75 in, like, just under, I think, 8.5 minutes. Because don't forget, he spent, like, 30 to 40 seconds of the beginning with B-roll footage with no speaking. So 75 uhs and ums in one video. That is the worst one yet, because yes, he had another video where there was 86, but that was over the course of like 12 or 13 minutes, something like that. So yeah, we're really seeing a cognitive decline from Ken, because he can't speak without having an or an at least once or twice in a sentence. Now, I'm not saying that I don't do that, but it's nowhere near as prevalent as Ken Domick's is. So clearly, all that fast food is killing his brain, along with the alcohol that he consumes pretty much on a daily basis. But that's besides the point. That's just a little fun thing that I'm doing right now just to add to the video. But, yep, this was what I expected out of Ken. Him explaining away how he did nothing wrong, as I've said a couple times in this video. And then he followed it up with the video that I'm going to premiere tomorrow of him thanking all his wonderful supporters, his minions as I call them, for kissing his ass and telling him that, yep, no, you didn't do anything wrong, Ken. Everybody that says otherwise is just hateful and doesn't know what the hell they're talking about. So yeah, that poor girl has to put up with Ken putting on a screen that she's essentially stupid because she's new at her job and doesn't know how to push a fucking button. That's what he did to her, and that is wrong, that is rude, and that is arrogant of him. If it was the other way around, you know damn well that Ken would be complaining that people were being rude to him. It's a double standard that Ken has when it comes to this bullshit. Because we point out when he does something wrong or we criticize him for something, he says that we're being hateful, that we're not being truthful, that we're not actually pointing out things that he has done wrong. So see, double standards for Ken Domick. But because he is an actual sociopath, he lacks the empathy and the remorse that one would need in order to realize that their actions have actually impacted and hurt somebody. Whether they're smiling or not has no role in deciding that that was going down. You can say hateful or mean things to someone's face, and they can stand there and take it with a smile on their face because they're being polite in situations like this, because they're working in the service industry. So it's ingrained in them with their training to always have a smile on your face when you're dealing with customers, whether they're being nice or they're being complete jackasses like Ken Domick. This was to be expected. He did exactly what we thought he would, and he's going to continue to do so because, as I said, he can do no wrong. He is perfect in every way. But at any rate, until next time, this is KDDE signing out. Have a good one, be well, and remember, don't be like Ken. The Ken Domick Dissemination Expose channel would like to take a moment to thank its loyal KDDE community builders for their support of the channel. If you would like to see the channel continue to grow and offer new and unique content, then please consider hitting that join button. With a little bit of help from a whole lot of people, the sky is the limit on what can be done to combat the scourge of YouTube that is Ken Doofus. The one thing Ken Doofus hates to see is the channel gaining members. For just $1.99 per month, you can really piss Ken Doofus off.